Good morning, YouTube. It's Victoria. Hi, how are you? If you didn't catch it, I was trying to say hi and how are you at the same time. Anyhow, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. So we're going to be doing the fourth installment, I guess, of the Psych Series. And just a shout out real quick, congratulations to the winners of the giveaway, okay? So today's topic will be bipolar disorder. Okay, so this is highly negatively stigmatized, especially with the mood swing aspect. A lot of people misconstrue that people that have mood swings automatically have bipolar. And that's not true, especially not to its entirety. Okay, so bipolar, there are two different types of bipolar. Okay, I mean, amongst 20 sub-diagnoses of bipolar, especially bipolar 1. But there's bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. Okay, bipolar 1 and bipolar 2 are pretty much differentiated between the mania versus the hypomania. Okay, mania lasts for up to longer than 7 days. Sometimes it can last for several weeks in people. Okay. Hypomania usually lasts a little bit less than a week, maybe up to a week. I mean, it just depends. But the main thing is the severity of this mania versus hypomania. So I'm looking at my notes here so that way I can give you word for word. All right. So again, it's the main differentiating things here are the intensity of the symptoms of the mania versus the hypomania. Okay. Antipsychotic meds, especially whenever it comes to bipolar, bipolar is a chemical imbalance in the brain, period. The majority of the time, I mean, is there a possibility that you can handle the bipolar without meds? Absolutely. But, depending on how severe it is, you might need that medication to help balance out and stabilize the moods, and also to address any underlying depression or any downswing like that. Okay, so mania is more than energy. Okay, so whenever you go through these, we call them the upswings or the highs. Okay, and this is called cycling. All right, so people that experience mania and hypomania, okay, so they are the same symptoms, but again, not as intense as mania. Okay, so sometimes this will be having higher than normal energy levels. So these are like spurts of energy. Like the day before you were mopey Eeyore type, and then the next day you're like, oh man, I feel like I can run a marathon. I can do this. You'll start cleaning your house. Okay, a lot of it is going to be, it feels like goal-directed activity, but a lot of the time there is no purpose, I guess, for it, if that's the best way to describe it. You have a decreased need for sleep. Okay, I mean, I'm talking sometimes these people have less than 4 hours of sleep. Okay, 2 hours of sleep and be like, oh man, I can conquer the world, conquer the day, and they won't miss it. All right. Increased self-esteem or grandiosity or self-confidence. Oh, I got this shit. Don't worry. I can handle it. I can do anything and everything. Okay. Being extremely talkative. And it's not just, that annoying girl that won't shut up. Okay. We all know that person. But this is very highly pressurized talk, and it's just like a whole flight of ideas back to back to back to back to back. And it's very tangential. Okay. And it's just back to back to back. I remember my first experience with somebody with bipolar, with mania, okay, this is bipolar 1 manic, okay, where there were 6 different conversations in 1 minute. Good luck with that. Okay, and this also goes with it, this racing mind, this constant, change in thoughts, flight of ideas, flight of plans, and that's what makes it super difficult to concentrate and makes you easily distracted. We're talking like the squirrel, the dog with the squirrel from Up, like squirrel. Very easily distracted. Again, taking on multiple projects and not finishing them. Again, kind of like, oh, I'm going to work out, and you work out every day and you stop. Okay. One huge example that I use to describe the difference between bipolar 1 and bipolar 2 with my patients is season 9 of Shameless. Okay, Katie Seagal's character very well done portrayal of bipolar 1 with mania. Okay, I have to alphabetize my books on my bookshelf. I need to cut some brie, and then I need to do this. And then sometimes with that as well, have decreased inhibition. So this is kind of like that, it's almost like the case of the fuckets. Okay, when you know that it's not a good idea, it also goes in part with, the risk-taking behavior. Okay, like gambling. Spending money, shopping till you drop, literally shopping till you drop. Okay. Sex. Okay. With this, there's a heightened increase of sexual desire or hyperarousal. Okay. In that case, and sometimes people have sex with multiple partners. It's just the nature of the beast. Okay. Whenever it comes to going back to the mania and the hypomania, again, the bipolar 1 and the hypomania, the bipolar 2, okay, we'll go into the downswing. One thing I also forgot to, with the mania, is that you can go into, sometimes you can experience some hallucinations, and it's not like, oh, I see shit, but sometimes you have the visual or the auditory hallucinations. Okay, so this is bipolar with paranoia, okay, or psychosis, okay. Sometimes you have some delusional thoughts or paranoid thoughts, like, I swear everybody's talking about me, nobody likes me, I hate myself, my body's failing me. But this is constant, okay, and this is up usually in those highs. Once you get into that downswing, or the depression portion, okay, this is where you get that depression, and it's just like, dude, last week you were fine, and now you can't get out of bed. Okay, and so whenever we're in the downswing of this depression, so that the bottom of the cycling, okay, you'll end up with the symptoms of major depressive disorder. All right, this includes the hopeless, worthless, helplessness. Okay, it's not necessarily thoughts of suicide per se, but if you remember in my depression video, okay, it's kind of like that. Sometimes it's that passive death wish. Okay, it's like, oh, I'm probably better off not here. The world would be better without me. Okay, changes in sleep patterns. So sometimes you'll end up with too much sleep, so hypersomnia, or insomnia, where again, it's not enough sleep. Fatigue, because your body went on and on and on for a period of time, and then you're at that crash stage. And then again, too, with that depression in mind, you have no energy. You have that lack of energy, that lack of motivation. Sometimes people can be apathetic or kind of like that numb feeling. Okay, people's appetites change. Sometimes, again, people will not eat, or they'll eat too much. A lot of comforty type food. Okay. Also, too, what I've noticed is that the people with MDD or major depressive disorder are in this downswing of the bipolar, okay, will either move real slow, okay, so it's called motor retardation, or motor agitation, where you're moving faster than usual. So those are just some of the things that you can experience with the bipolar. Okay, there are a lot of assumptions that, again, if you have anxiousness and you have the depression, oh, you're bipolar. No, that's not the case. Again, there are assessments that we use. I utilize an assessment for both depression and bipolar. Okay, so that way kind of, is a starting point, a starting tool. Okay, once you have more experience working with these types of individuals, okay, you'll be able to pick them up pretty quick. But again, one type of therapy that has been showing itself as a gold standard, okay, has been DBT. DBT is dialectical behavioral therapy. It helps with awareness, kind of calling yourself out or becoming aware of your own patterns, okay? Sometimes you'll notice that people with bipolar, especially unmedicated bipolar, can be touchier than usual, okay, or touchier than another person without bipolar, right? This kind of teaches a person to kind of, hey, pump the brakes, kid, and to kind of be aware of, all right, is it as bad as, distress tolerance? Are the thoughts as bad, or is the situation as bad as we portray it to be? It calls it awareness out on it, and then also helps you to kind of emotionally regulate this. Okay, you learn mindfulness. Okay, and the mindfulness brings you this awareness to not only yourself but to others as well, while still maintaining and being in that present moment. Okay, good times. And so, and it also kind of helps you with interpersonal relationships, to include how to talk to people, because I don't care who you are, how you speak to somebody, how you communicate with somebody, how you carry yourself, how you say things is integral and super important. Okay, I don't care who you are. If you could say, hey, what are you doing later? Or, yo, what are you doing later? What would you prefer to be spoken to as, or how? The first one, because the second one is kind of threatening, so it makes all the difference. Okay, but DBT definitely helps to address this, and that's usually my go-to with it. Is with DBT. I'm REBT as well, and depending on your rapport with your patient, it helps also. I use that in combination with some people, as to work with it. A lot of the bipolar, okay, and again, just like with a lot of the mental health, okay, it's genetic. Okay, once you have somebody, frontline family, mother, father, sister, brother, anything like that, that bumps you up past 65-70%. Okay, so if you have a parent especially, I bless you are more than likely to have it. Okay, it can be mild, or it can be severe, but mild, moderate, or severe, but that's what that is. Okay, but remember too, there is also the bipolar depression combination. But whenever it comes to the treatment, again, in conjunction with psychotherapy, and you can't just have some magic pill. Okay, it's not just the pill and then you're healed. It's therapy and how to implement these therapies while taking the edge off with the medication to give you some stability. Okay, a lot of the time that whenever I diagnose patients with bipolar 1 or bipolar 2, I tell them to educate themselves. Sometimes I'll have handouts to kind of, it's like, okay, so you have bipolar. It's kind of not like that, but we'll find literature. We have literature for bipolar 1 or bipolar 2, what to expect, such and such. Okay, I tell them to keep a journal. All right, so these are guided journals that I've got my patients. And with this, it emphasizes mindfulness and stuff too, but you also have the ability to track your moods throughout the day and every day. Okay, so this kind of like with the journaling type thing, but it also kind of gives you an idea, like, oh man, I'm feeling some kind of way today, and then you can look back, like, yes, let's say the day prior and the day before that, oh man, it was really hard at work, and I got written up, and that would explain my mood. Okay, so that way you can kind of backtrack for it. And then also too, especially with the bipolar, there is that possibility where you can identify a pattern. Okay, so I noticed that I have 3 weeks on this depression downswing with the lower cycle, and then I go into 4 days or a week and some change for this manic or hypomanic. That could be an identifying factor as well. You have to stay in treatment, okay? So consistency is key, because it doesn't make sense if you're, oh yeah, we're gonna go all gung-ho again, with the goal-oriented or lack of goal-oriented, or like that lack of purpose with the goal, okay? You can't just stop it. You can't just, oh, I'm gonna schedule these appointments, get my meds, and just say screw the therapy. How are you going to learn to implement new tools and new ways to think and handle your symptoms and handle yourself if you're not going to go to therapy to learn it? Hello? Okay. Now also with like any mental health disorder, you need to look out for suicidal thoughts and ideations, especially whenever you're on medication, because that is a risk factor. Okay, so the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, I'm going to give you guys that number, and this is not just for bipolar or anybody, but if you need to talk down the ledge, I guess, if you're having these suicidal thoughts or ideations and you need to talk to somebody to kind of de-escalate you, okay? 24/7, they are available, okay? So it's 1-800-273-8255, okay? Or 1-800-273-TALK, okay? They also have a text service, okay? And that's here. Text 741-741. I don't know if it's going to be flipped over in the video, but you can text and there's always going to be somebody there for you. Alright? Can any of this be prevented? No. I'm not talking about the suicide, I'm talking about the mania and hypomania. But as long as you have positive support systems, they as well, like your family, are educated, okay? There is a such thing or course as dialectical talk, where like the parents and family learn the same coping techniques or the same coping treatment, skills and stuff, okay? So that way you still have that consistency in your care or with your care, okay? You have to be able to reach out to people and not to take offense when you're being called out upon. Hey, you're acting kind of like this again, what's up? Don't flip out, pause, not initially react, and move forward from there. But that is my bipolar. We're gonna try doing this, once a week. Next week, we're gonna talk about my favorite, not my favorite, PTSD. All right, I hope you have a great week. Stay safe, stay hydrated. All right, bye guys.